Have you ever realized that the most effective form of testing doesn't come through confrontation, but through absence? People won't always challenge you with words, they'll challenge you with silence. They delay their replies, withdraw attention, and vanish just long enough to make you wonder. That quiet gap is not accidental, it's calculated. They want to see how much space they occupy in your mind. They measure your patience, your reactions, and your breaking point, not out of curiosity, but control. Because the instant you chase, overthink, or emotionally spiral, they know exactly how to steer you. You've handed them the coordinates to your emotions. That's the game today, not physical dominance, but psychological control through feeling. You don't have to be broken to be conquered. All someone has to do is make you feel too much. Your outrage becomes their triumph. Your guilt turns into the leash they pull. Your sadness is the key to your surrender. The thinker Machiavelli once warned that whoever governs your emotions governs your destiny. And that's what most people miss. Destruction doesn't arrive as chaos. It seeps in as emotional pressure. Those who remain still amidst that storm, those who neither flinch nor explain, are the ones who truly hold power. Calmness is not weakness. It's armor. Silence unnerves people because it removes their leverage. When you stop reacting, you deny them the ability to read you. Restraint isn't suppression, it's strategy. The one who can absorb pain and smile, who can face doubt and still move forward, who can be misunderstood and stay steady, is the one who becomes untouchable. You don't win arguments by shouting. You win by not needing to. You don't prove your worth by convincing others. You prove it through composure. Silence becomes your loudest language. You become a storm people sense but cannot see coming. Most people crave validation, to be seen, loved, or accepted. But the moment you detach from that need, you gain something infinitely stronger, command over yourself. When no one can provoke your emotions, no one can control your world. That's what makes a person emotionally dangerous, calm, unreadable, and impossible to manipulate. Once you reach that state, you stop being a character in someone else's story. You write your own. If you're ready to stop being ruled by emotional chaos and instead master the art of emotional precision, then remember this affirmation: I am emotionally untouchable. Emotional manipulation rarely appears as control. It masquerades as affection, concern, or loyalty. It's never the argument that traps you. It's the attention. Manipulators begin by studying you. They observe how you react, what makes you feel guilty, what softens your defenses, and what triggers your anger. They collect emotional data like scientists gathering samples. Then, when the moment arrives, they use it. They'll say things like, "You've changed," or "I thought you were different." Those aren't statements. They're hooks. The goal isn't to understand you. It's to make you question yourself until you willingly hand over your power. Emotional control is their currency, and guilt is their favorite tool. They don't shout or demand, they imply. They make you feel that standing your ground equals betrayal. But that's not love. That's programming. Manipulation thrives on your desire to be good, fair, or kind. They turn your empathy into your prison. Here's what's most sinister. It feels emotional, not tactical. But it's both. When you leave a conversation feeling heavy, drained, or confused rather than supported, that isn't coincidence. That's a sign someone's been feeding on your reactions. When you stop responding, they panic. That's when they accuse you of being cold or heartless. But that's just the sound of someone losing control over the emotional switch they used to own. Manipulators fear silence because it forces them to confront their reflection. When you stop feeding the game, they'll shift strategies, feigned vulnerability, promises to change, even tears. But all of it is bait, carefully crafted to pull you back into dependence. The only escape is awareness. Once you recognize the pattern, the illusion collapses. You stop being their pawn and start being their mirror. Every guilt trip, every calculated pause, every emotional jab becomes transparent. The moment you see it clearly, it loses its hold. The power moves back to you. You begin observing instead of reacting. You let their emotional theatrics echo against your calmness until they fade. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you choose how and when to care. You begin to value your peace over constant proving. Emotional energy is a currency, and not everyone deserves to spend it. The manipulator's lifeblood is your reactivity. Take that away and you starve their control. You win not by outshouting them, but by refusing to participate. The next time someone tries to twist your feelings or provoke you, remember, it's not a conversation. It's an experiment. Pass it by staying unshaken. Walk away without defense. Master yourself and you master the moment. Affirm it. I see through manipulation. Machiavelli understood something that few still grasp. That uncontrolled emotion is the easiest form of enslavement. Most people assume that feeling deeply is a virtue, but unrestrained emotion is chaos disguised as authenticity. Love, anger, compassion, and fear are not dangerous on their own. The danger begins when they dictate your behavior. Every impulsive outburst, every emotional decision hands someone else the steering wheel to your life. The world doesn't respond to feelings. It responds to composure. Those who lose control lose position. Those who master restraint command outcomes. Centuries ago, Machiavelli observed that people judge not by truth but by appearances. Everyone sees emotion. Few discern intention. That means your visible feelings become maps that guide others toward your weaknesses. Get angry, and they learn what offends you. Show desperation, and they discover what you crave. Reveal affection too soon, and they see which strings move you. Transparency, though often romanticized, is vulnerability in disguise. The strongest individuals are not the loudest in the room or the ones who wear passion as a badge. They are those who can feel everything yet act from nothing but clarity. They recognize that reaction equals surrender. To act strategically rather than emotionally is to maintain sovereignty over the self. Machiavelli's famous words, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both," are not a call to cruelty but to control. Love without strength is weakness. Compassion without boundaries becomes exploitation. Emotion must be balanced by logic. Otherwise, it becomes a weapon used against you. Anger should be directed, not unleashed. Fear should be examined, not obeyed. Desire should be disciplined, not indulged. People will always study your patterns. They will learn what silences you, what flatters you, what ignites you. If you don't govern your emotions, they will. Every time you reveal your triggers, you invite control. History's greatest thinkers, leaders, and survivors all shared one trait: composure. They smiled through humiliation, made decisions while bleeding internally, and refused to let passion blur their perception. Emotional danger isn't about numbness. It's about discipline, feeling love without dependency, feeling anger without vengeance, feeling fear without paralysis. The world rewards balance, not volatility. Because when your inner state becomes unreadable, you become unstoppable. Your calm becomes your weapon. Your detachment becomes your edge. Your unpredictability becomes your fortress. The truth is brutal. Life does not compensate purity. It exploits weakness. If you leak emotion, the world will find the crack and pour its poison through it. The key is not to shut down, but to sharpen. Emotional control doesn't make you heartless. It makes you sovereign. Affirm it now. My emotions serve me. Being emotionally dangerous does not mean becoming detached from humanity. It means that your emotions, once wild and untamed, now answer to you. They no longer serve as entry points for manipulation. Love, anger, fear, empathy, all still exist, but now they operate under your conscious authority. You own them. They no longer own you. Most people are emotional open books. Every glance, sigh, and reaction reveals their state of mind. And in a world where everyone reads energy, that transparency becomes a liability. But when you are emotionally grounded, your mind becomes a fortress. You can feel deeply without leaking vulnerability. You can care deeply without attachment. You can endure pain without displaying collapse. The secret to emotional danger lies in transformation, turning feelings into focus. Every insult becomes information. Every setback becomes strategy. You move through life aware, calm, and calculating. When people can't read your emotions, they can't prepare their manipulation. You become a mystery, and mystery breeds respect. As Machiavelli once noted, people are quick to trust, slow to act, and easy to deceive. Manipulators depend on that predictability. But when you cultivate an unreadable energy, you confuse their entire system. They can't anticipate your moves because you no longer act on impulse. You've shifted from being reactive to being strategic. Emotional danger isn't cruelty. It's control. It's smiling when others expect rage. It's walking away when they demand engagement. It's maintaining composure while others unravel. Power lies not in domination, but in direction. And when you control yourself, you direct the energy of every interaction. Each day, someone will test you, subtly or openly. They will challenge your calm, question your choices, and tempt you into emotional chaos. But that's the beauty of mastery. You no longer respond. You decide. Your awareness becomes your weapon. Your calmness becomes your armor. Your restraint becomes your throne. Once you rise to this level of emotional discipline, you stop being a player in other people's games. You become the one who sets the rules. Remember this truth. The calm mind cannot be manipulated. The steady soul cannot be provoked. And the emotionally dangerous cannot be controlled. So the next time silence enters the room, embrace it. Let it speak louder than any argument could. Because silence, when wielded by a master of emotions, is the most commanding sound in the world. When others can no longer anticipate your reactions, their ability to control you disappears entirely. There's no formula for them to follow, no pattern to manipulate, no code to exploit. That is the point of emotional mastery, unpredictability rooted in self-control. To be emotionally dangerous is not to be unfeeling, but to have reached a level of composure where chaos no longer dictates your behavior. You stop being a pawn in the world's emotional games. You stop dancing to the rhythm of provocation. You begin to see through the subtle tactics, the calculated silences, the delayed responses, the guilt-laden words. Where once you might have reacted, now you simply observe. Stillness becomes your strength. You no longer seek to win validation or chase recognition. You have outgrown the need for applause. You know that the world doesn't reward those who expose every emotion. It rewards those who can maintain equilibrium when everything around them trembles. Calmness becomes your armor. Not because you lack emotion, but because you have refined it into discipline. Your restraint is your sword. Your silence, your command. To be emotionally dangerous is also to become anticipatory, aware not only of your own mind, but of others. You learn to detect tension before it manifests, to predict reactions before they erupt, to understand intent before words are even spoken. This awareness transforms you into a strategist rather than a participant. You no longer act from impulse. You act from decision. Where others react, you calculate. You transform the noise of others' emotions into clarity for yourself. The manipulator's attempts to provoke you only expose their insecurity. The more they reach for your reaction, the more they reveal their dependence on it. True power is not in controlling others. It's in being unshaken when others attempt to control you. You are not emotionless because you do not respond. You are powerful because you choose when to. Betrayal, disappointment, loss. These things may still sting, but they no longer penetrate your center. You process pain privately, transform it quietly, and move forward without a ripple. No one has access to your internal world unless you grant them entry. That is what makes emotionally grounded individuals so enigmatic. They cannot be broken by circumstance, because their strength does not come from external approval, but from internal alignment. The emotionally dangerous do not need to explain, persuade, or perform. Their quiet confidence speaks louder than words. Their stillness unnerves those who depend on emotional chaos to feel powerful. The calm presence of a disciplined mind dismantles conflict before it begins. Every movement is deliberate, every word is calculated, and every silence is intentional. They are like a storm trapped inside a tranquil body, potent, unpredictable, unstoppable. Emotional danger is not about revenge, domination, or coldness. It's about sovereignty, mastering yourself in a world designed to distract and provoke. When you no longer react impulsively, you no longer surrender pieces of your control. To be emotionally dangerous is to be untouchable, not because you fight harder, but because you no longer need to fight at all. Your peace becomes your power, and your composure becomes your crown. Affirm it. I control my inner storm. The 5 pillars of emotional mastery. Mastering emotion does not mean suppressing your feelings or pretending to be indifferent. It's about refining the chaos within and transforming emotional impulses into deliberate, intelligent responses. True power isn't the absence of feeling. It's the ability to direct it. It's about transforming instinct into insight and reaction into purpose. Step 1. The power of the pause. The first act of mastery is hesitation, the conscious decision to wait before reacting. Every second you delay a reaction, you reclaim territory from emotional manipulation. Those who wish to control you rely on immediacy. They provoke because they want to catch you unguarded. When you pause, you break their rhythm. Stillness disorients them. That single breath of awareness transforms potential chaos into clarity. The pause is not weakness, it is control disguised as patience. Step 2. Replace emotion with strategy. When emotion rises, do not ask, "How do I feel?" Instead ask, "What is useful right now?" That shift changes everything. Emotion clouds judgment, but strategy clears the fog. The moment you focus on outcome instead of outrage, you stop being predictable. Strategy turns anger into leverage and confusion into insight. It allows you to act with purpose instead of reacting with impulse. The strategic mind never fights for attention. It directs attention. Step 3. Train your triggers. Everyone has emotional tripwires, specific tones, actions, or words that spark reaction. The difference between the reactive and the powerful is awareness. The emotionally aware person studies their triggers the way a warrior studies weak points in armor. You identify what disturbs your equilibrium, and then you neutralize it. The goal is not to eliminate emotion, but to domesticate it. When you anticipate your triggers, you transform them from vulnerabilities into signals of awareness. Step 4. Master your physical expression. Emotions don't just live in the mind, they leak through the body. A raised eyebrow, a tightened jaw, a shift in breathing. These are silent signals that betray your state of mind. Control over your facial expressions, posture, and tone gives you control over perception. When others cannot read you, they cannot predict or manipulate you. Stillness radiates authority. Composure intimidates those who rely on emotional chaos. Your silence becomes a mystery they can't solve. Step 5. Speak less, mean more. Words are double-edged swords. Every unnecessary word is a weapon someone else can use against you. Restraint in speech is a form of protection. Say only what serves your intent, nothing more. The fewer clues you provide, the less room others have to distort your meaning. Silence used wisely is magnetic. It demands attention, commands respect, and creates curiosity. When you speak only with purpose, your words carry the weight of intention rather than the noise of emotion. Emotional control isn't a one-time achievement. It's a lifelong discipline. Every day, you'll encounter provocations designed to test your composure. The world thrives on emotional chaos, so remaining centered requires constant practice. Detachment isn't indifference. It's observation without surrender. Restraint isn't repression, it's refinement. When you master these 5 principles, pausing, strategizing, conditioning your triggers, commanding your expression, and controlling your speech, you ascend beyond the reach of manipulation. Your serenity unsettles those who thrive on reaction. Your awareness exposes hidden motives. Your silence deprives others of control. Every moment becomes a test, and you pass it through composure. Emotional control does not strip you of humanity. It refines it. It transforms your emotions into instruments of precision, used when necessary, restrained when wise. That is the art of calm power. Affirm, I act with calm power. Your mind is the territory where every battle begins, but it can also become your fortress. Most people live with their gates wide open, allowing every insult, judgment, and provocation to enter freely. They let strangers shape their moods, enemies influence their peace, and opinions dictate their self-worth. But you are not one of them. You build differently. To construct an emotional fortress is to establish boundaries that cannot be breached without your consent. It's the ultimate expression of inner authority. The first foundation stone of this fortress is awareness. You must discern what deserves access to your attention and what should remain outside. Not every insult deserves acknowledgement. Not every invitation to conflict is worth attending. Awareness filters chaos before it reaches your core. The second layer is detachment. Emotional independence is the moat surrounding your inner world. It keeps the turbulence of others at a distance. Detachment is not apathy. It's observation with clarity. You recognize manipulation without falling into it. You witness deceit, pressure, or guilt without absorbing them. Emotional distance gives you the power to stay centered even when surrounded by storms. The third foundation is discipline. Discipline is what prevents cracks from forming in your fortress. It's the steady commitment to respond from reason rather than impulse. Discipline trains your focus, stabilizes your reactions, and transforms chaos into order. When provoked, you breathe. When challenged, you assess. When tested, you stay still. That is how emotional warriors win battles, not through rage, but through precision. The fourth wall is self-respect. No fortress stands strong if the owner invites invaders inside. You must protect your boundaries with unwavering respect for your own worth. Stop seeking validation from those who thrive on diminishing others. Respect yourself enough to say no, to walk away, and to stand alone when necessary. Self-respect is the guardian that refuses entry to manipulation disguised as affection. The final layer is resilience. No wall is impenetrable unless it is reinforced. Life will always find ways to test your structure, through loss, rejection, betrayal, or failure. Resilience is your capacity to repair. Every wound becomes a lesson. Every setback becomes material for rebuilding. Pain is the architect that teaches you where to strengthen your defenses. You learn not to crumble, but to fortify. As Machiavelli once advised, those who follow the path of the wise, even if they cannot equal their greatness, will at least inherit their strength. Your fortress is built in the same way, by observing those who endured storms and remained unmoved. Each insult dies at your walls. Each emotional weapon shatters against your calm. The noise outside no longer dictates the peace inside. Within your fortress, silence reigns. Calm is your structure, awareness your sentry. Outside, the world shouts, demands, and provokes, but within you remain sovereign. You decide who enters, who influences, and who is forever exiled. The construction of this inner citadel demands vigilance, honesty, and courage. You must confront your own patterns, recognize your vulnerabilities, and strengthen them daily. But once complete, this fortress makes you unassailable. No manipulator can infiltrate a mind that governs itself. No emotional predator can exploit a heart that understands its worth. That is true sovereignty, emotional independence at its highest form. The fortress may be invisible, but its presence is unmistakable. It radiates through your composure, your words, and your silence. It transforms emotional attacks into echoes that never reach your center. Each day you reinforce these walls. You grow less reactive, more strategic, and infinitely more powerful. Your mind becomes an empire no one can conquer. Affirm, my mind is untouchable. Emotional power is not a trophy you win once. It is a discipline you maintain daily. Every morning, you'll encounter people eager to pull you into their emotional gravity through provocation, guilt, drama, or subtle manipulation. The world thrives on reaction because reaction is control. The key is to never give it away. The first rule of maintenance is observation. Learn to read intent without exposing vulnerability. Every gesture, silence, and tone reveals motive. Nothing is random. When you watch without reacting, you gain insight without cost. Awareness turns manipulation into data, not danger. The second rule is restraint. The ability to hold your response is the hallmark of true strength. When you refuse to argue, to justify, or to emotionally explain yourself, you take away their power to script your reaction. The world expects noise. Your silence disrupts it. And finally, the third rule is detachment. Emotional power thrives on independence. No one should hold the authority to dictate your happiness, anger, or focus. Your emotions belong to you alone. Guard them as sacred property. That is emotional dominance, awareness as armor, restraint as discipline, detachment as freedom. Once mastered, no one can control your storm because you command the weather within. Detachment has long been misunderstood. It's not numbness or indifference, it's mastery. It is the art of remaining aware without being ensnared, of engaging without surrendering, of feeling without falling apart. Detachment is not the absence of emotion. It's the presence of authority. It means you can sense everything around you and still remain the ruler of your own inner kingdom. You can empathize without absorbing, observe without reacting, and participate in life without being owned by its fluctuations. The fourth cornerstone of emotional command is discipline. Every human being faces moments where composure is tested, when provocation whispers, when weakness tempts, when chaos demands attention. Discipline is the shield that allows you to turn those moments of potential downfall into demonstrations of power. It is not a single act of willpower, but a lifelong conditioning of your reactions. You train yourself to remain centered, to rise above the impulsive storm that wants to pull you under. The more disciplined you become, the fewer people can read, manipulate, or destabilize you. Predictability is the weapon of the weak. Unpredictability rooted in control is the armor of the strong. The fifth pillar of emotional dominance is continual reinforcement. Power fades without maintenance. Emotional control is not a mountain you climb once. It is a balance you must constantly sustain. Every day brings new provocations, subtle tests, emotional traps, and hidden attempts to shake your confidence. You must strengthen your composure daily, seal the cracks in your awareness, and sharpen your understanding of yourself. A single lapse can unravel months of growth because mastery thrives only under consistency. Machiavelli once wrote that it is twice the pleasure to outwit the deceiver. Emotional strength mirrors that philosophy perfectly. The satisfaction isn't in retaliation. It's in remaining untouchable when others try to manipulate you. When provokers expect chaos and you offer calm, when manipulators expect weakness and you show command, when others seek to drag you into disorder and you remain unmoved, that is the essence of true dominance. Your steadiness becomes your quiet victory. Over time, this calm authority becomes your reputation. People begin to realize that you are not someone who can be provoked easily. Their games lose power because you do not respond to them. They stop testing you because they recognize the futility. Your silence becomes your deterrent. Without raising your voice or displaying aggression, your composure alone communicates. I am not to be played with. But emotional strength is not only external, it is an internal discipline that transforms your relationship with yourself. It's the capacity to process heartbreak without resentment, to face betrayal without collapse, to experience disappointment without self-destruction. This inner power is invisible yet magnetic. People sense it not through your words, but through your posture, your tone, your gaze, and the stillness that follows your every action. You move through the world with quiet certainty, and others can feel it. They hesitate, they question. They second-guess their own attempts to unsettle you. Maintaining emotional sovereignty also requires understanding that control over others is irrelevant compared to control over oneself. Power begins and ends within. Your reactions, your focus, your peace. These are sacred territories that must not be invaded. No insult, no manipulation, no circumstance deserves the authority to disrupt your internal state. That is what true freedom looks like. The ability to remain composed no matter what happens outside of you. Real power doesn't scream. It doesn't beg to be recognized. It simply is. It operates quietly, confidently, beyond the reach of validation or external praise. The most powerful person in any setting is the one who doesn't need to prove anything, who doesn't chase a reaction, who leads without display. Their dominance is silent yet absolute. Every day you sustain this discipline, you fortify your own foundation. You become someone who cannot be read, cannot be owned, cannot be shaken. Chaos becomes a source of information, not confusion. Pressure becomes an opportunity to refine your strategy. Provocation becomes a mirror that reveals how far you've come in your mastery. The person who cannot control his emotions will always serve the one who can. That truth is ancient and yet most overlook it. The world does not reward those who bare their hearts for everyone to trample. It rewards those who direct their energy with intention and precision. If you have cultivated the habit of pausing before reacting, if you have learned to replace emotion with strategy, if you have studied your triggers and silenced your impulses, then you have already stepped into a realm most never reach. You are no longer a piece on the board. You are the player who decides how the game unfolds. You set the tempo. You determine who earns your attention and who fades into insignificance. Your emotions are your private domain. Your mind is your empire. Both are untouchable when ruled by awareness and discipline. Those who once tried to test your boundaries, those who sought to provoke or confuse you, will feel the shift before they understand it. They will sense that your calmness is not submission, but power restrained. They will respect your silence and fear your composure, because nothing is more intimidating than a person who cannot be emotionally penetrated. You owe no explanations. You owe no performances. Every encounter becomes a quiet assertion of control, a living testament that you have evolved beyond reactivity. The less others know about what moves you, the more power you hold. Emotional mastery is not visible like aggression. It's subtle, silent, and unstoppable. It's the unseen current that moves mountains without ever raising its voice. This kind of dominance is not built once and forgotten. It must be renewed every day. Each sunrise brings new provocations and emotional traps disguised as harmless moments. Your task is to remain awake, to maintain your composure even when tempted to slip back into the chaos of reaction. Emotional strength is a discipline, a daily duel between your higher mind and your fleeting impulses. This struggle is constant, but its rewards are unmatched. Through it, you earn freedom from manipulation, liberation from dependency, and command over your own destiny. You become untouchable not because you dominate others, but because no one can dominate you. Your mind becomes a fortress of clarity. Your emotions become loyal servants instead of reckless masters. You operate in the world with silent certainty, untethered to validation, untouched by emotional storms. This is the path of emotional mastery, calm, unreadable, deliberate. You are not reactive. You are resolute. You do not chase approval. You embody control. You are no longer controlled by the winds of others' opinions or moods. You are your own anchor. Your emotions serve your will. Your mind serves your mission. And your silence becomes the most powerful language you speak. So carry this knowledge forward. Let it shape your interactions, your decisions, your entire way of being. Guard your reactions with vigilance. Strengthen your inner fortress. Refuse to be owned by anyone's chaos. Because when your emotions belong only to you, your life does too. You are beyond manipulation, beyond prediction, beyond reach. You are the calm before every storm, and the storm itself when necessary. You are the force no one can anticipate, yet everyone feels. If these words resonate, make them real. Don't just understand them, live them. Become the master of your own inner world. Become the one who commands emotion rather than being commanded by it. Become emotionally untouchable. Say it aloud and make it truth. No one controls me.